Ooh, it's Arthur Winter.
Welcome to Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast.
Ooh.
As always, I'm your co-host, Arthur Stone, and with me, that lovely little soundbite in the beginning is your co-host, Andy Hart. Pretend this is Andy Hart saying hello, because he yelled so loud during the initial recording that it clipped the audio so bad that even Mr. Bunker couldn't fix it. Anyway, back to the show.
Welcome to the podcast.
Boy, I feel sorry for the sad sack who has to clean up the audio on that one. Andy, good to see you.
Hey, Art, it's nice to be seen.
Here we are once again in the bunker.
Here we are.
And Andy, we got a fabulous little topic tonight, don't we?
We got a sweet little topic.
Bunker hit us with a big one, the big old big one.
This is one that everybody's going to love because it's got all the things that people like. It's got government cover-ups.
Oh, okay.
It's got extraterrestrials.
Okay.
It's got the state of Ohio.
Well.
It is sexy.
Andy, what is it? What are we talking about today?
We're talking about none other than Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in outside beautiful Dayton, Ohio.
And the big thing about Wright-Pat, as we will discover in our episode today, is that it supposedly houses not only aliens, but the debris and wreckage of their spacecrafts. And there's secret technology, and even maybe ghosts.
It doesn't necessarily house ghosts, but
it could.
There are ghosts there.
We
don't know that these are government-created ghosts.
We don't know where these ghosts are coming from.
But let's not kill Hamlet in the first act. We'll get to all of this in our research.
Yeah, that's right. We're the Guildenstern and Rosencrantz of podcasting.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. You little kings of Denmark.
There's something rotten in the state of Bunker, and it's us.
Yeah, we're rotten in the core.
Listeners, if you don't want to harbor the slings and arrows of waiting any longer for... to listen to this great episode,
hey, if you don't want to listen to this beginning part,
that's right.
I feel you. But you know what?
Good God.
You can skip right on to the research. Just whatever podcasting app or website you use, check the show notes. We got a little timestamp in there. That tramp stamp of this podcast, right on the lower back of the show notes.
That's right.
You find that right at the top. Skip where you want to go.
You can skip straight to the research. You can't miss it. But listeners, you know what? I implore you to stick around for the ride. Because in this little intro segment, before we get to our research, before we give you what Andy and I call the whole enchilada, a.k.a. the bunker promise... The bunker promise,
guarantee.
The bunker guarantee is that we will deliver to you our research completely uninterrupted from ads or our dumb tangents.
Oh boy.
We're
going to have to give a lot of refunds.
We save those for the third act, the discussion. But we deliver our research uninterrupted for your enjoyment, so you can get all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's the bunker guarantee. But first... we like to shoehorn in a stupid little gimmick.
Methinks, perchance, the bit's the thing wherein we'll catch the conscience of the king.
Oh, God. I'm trying to think of a to be or not to be one, but it's just like, it's too on the nose.
Well, okay. The research is Act 2A, and the discussion is Act 2B. Or not 2B. Maybe it's 3.
We like to talk about how Mr. Bunker, the titular bunker, the illusionary mastermind... captures us every single week, and he always does it in some wild and wacky way.
He is a wacky man.
He's truly remarkable. And now, Andy, you've had a bit of a rough morning, besides just Bunker. I mean, but maybe Bunker was involved.
Look, this is... maybe.
Maybe?
It all starts last night.
Okay, last night. 'Twas the night before.
Yes.
Not Christmas.
Yes. Once upon a midnight dreary
Well,
was
Andy
actually
wondered.
about 5 p.m.
5 p.m. on a Saturday night.
I was preparing to
The witching hour.
and there were witches afoot. I was preparing to enter my automobile to go to a little store I like to call Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh, the Great Beyond.
Because that's their name.
That's right.
And Art, I stepped in dog poop. But I didn't realize it at the time. And
Is there anything worse?
no.
I mean, truly, it could just ruin your night.
If I'm being honest, it's a crime.
Okay.
Like it should be. People should be prosecuted.
Andy, you were telling me a little bit about if you ran for mayor
if
of the
I
city.
ran for mayor of Chicago, look, I've like in the winter, the snow melts and the sidewalk is like turd city, and then in the
Listeners, listen, we're not trying to disparage anyone from Turd City.
turd city,
Turd City, Iowa is a great
fine
place.
Place.
It's a fine place, okay?
Head to Turd City Downs and bet on your favorite harness racer. Everybody, okay. If you live in a city, like this doesn't apply to people who don't live in cities. I don't think.
Maybe, yeah.
Because if you have a farm, you have a yard, you don't want to clean up your dog's crap. I don't care.
Yeah.
But when it's a public space,
It's a public sidewalk on these city
Public
sidewalks.
sidewalks.
And there's not a lot of space. I mean,
No.
you've got the apartment building goes right up to the curb, and then there's no space. And then it's, the tree line.
and so in the winter, everything is a landmine. You
Right.
got to constantly watch. And then in the summer, it's just lurking there in the grass, waiting for you to step in it. And
And we're not, going to give a... But the part of Chicago where Andy lives is a dog haven.
a dog haven, yeah.
As in, there's a lot of dogs everywhere, but there's a real dog haven where you're at.
It's lots of dogs. Lots of people have
just
dogs.
an obnoxious amount of dogs.
And
I love dogs.
I love dogs too. I mean, I have nothing against dogs.
Right.
I think dogs are great. But if we have a social contract. If you have a dog in the city, you owe it to your neighbors to clean up after them.
That's right. That's being a good neighbor.
You are in the wrong if you don't do that.
That's right.
And that's my opinion. And so, bearing this out to my logical conclusion, first of all, unattended feces is unhealthy for everybody in the community. It can, look, I have a small child. How easy is it to get dog crap in your mouth when you're a child? Pretty easy. That's not healthy. Left feces.
Andy is speaking from experience.
I did eat cat poop as a child. Feces, and that's not even a joke. Feces left out attracts rats. Rats are known to be unhealthy to human beings.
Counterpoint, very intelligent and loving animals.
Sure. But the alley,
This is your platform. This is your time to speak.
these are not rats that have had their shots. Okay.
These are not cute little rats
These are
that'll bring me a
friendly.
Kleenex.
This is not Master Splinter. This is Master Black Plague. I don't know. My point is, this is a senseless crime that somebody's committing.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's against city ordinance, sure, but how does this person never has to have justice served to them?
You're
Meanwhile,
angry that they don't have to pay for their crimes.
I'll never know who it is. I never know the health condition of this dog. What if this dog has canine AIDS or something?
Well, it would go really well with your feline aids that you already have.
Yeah. I'm going for a royal flush.
You'll be flushed, all right. So, Andy, if you were mayor of the city, what would your
Here's my
platform be?
proposal.
Yeah.
Dog ownership is banned in the whole city. Inside the city limits, you are not allowed to own a dog unless, few exceptions, service animals.
Okay.
That's it. And if you have a medical necessity that you have to have a dog, then I'm okay with it.
Okay.
But every other person, no. You're not allowed to have a dog. And you know what? To the people, I know the listeners are going to blow us up on this one. Our Twitter gets so much activity.
Oh, yeah.
And this is going to be no different. I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, this is unfair. This unnecessarily punishes everybody for a thing that a few people do.
Right.
I mean, Art, like I said, not everybody's a murderer, but murder's still illegal. Nobody's like, you know what? Most people who murder responsibly. There's no reason to have a law against it.
And Andy, you I think you went a little step further in that you said
oh yeah, my original plan.
Your original plan.
Look, okay.
For a senior advisor on your campaign.
One of my campaign advisors talked me out of this, but the original draft of my plan was that if you were caught not picking up your animal's feces, that your pet would be euthanized in front of you. But I've since, that was a plan made in the heat of the moment. And it's not fair to the animal.
Outlawing all dogs is much more reasonable.
The animals themselves are not the criminals here. It's human beings that are the criminals.
Wow.
So, but then
man.
I'm driving I didn't notice it till I was driving, Art. So now the poop's all smeared into my shoe. It's like in the crevices of my shoe. It's in the crevices of the both brake and accelerator pedal inside my car. There's a big wad of it. It's ground into the rug.
God, how much shit did you fucking step in?
I don't know, probably a huge tourist. People have these big dogs and they don't clean up after them.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
If it was a Chihuahua, it probably would have been fine.
Yeah. Wow.
But instead, it's like some sort of mastiff crap that I've stepped in. Like somebody who has a small horse.
Great Dane.
So then I had to go... I have like a toothbrush at home that I use to like.
But you arrived at Bed Bath & Beyond with shit all over your shoe. What'd you do?
I scraped it off as best I could in the parking lot.
And you just walked through the store.
And then we had baby wipes in the car, so I used a baby wipe to wipe some of it off. But it was still all in the crevices. So then, I just washed my hands at the store and then kept going. I don't know what else I could do.
Well, and I thought of Bed Bath & Beyond.
I thought I would have to throw out the shoes, but Amanda cleaned them. With her fingernails was the only way she could get it out. I tried to use one of those dental flossing tools, with the pick. Even that, it wore out before I could get it all out.
Do you guys have like you don't have like a hose or anything?
Yeah, she used the hose on it. It still didn't get it all out. Jeez. We have a high-powered diaper sprayer because we did cloth diapers.
You throw it in the washing machine? Can you do that?
I guess, yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry that
now how do I get it out of the brake pedal is the thing. The toothbrush didn't do any good. I'm going to have to go out there.
Listeners, if you out there are experts in dog shit and cleaning it up.
I guess with a toothpick,
if you're responsible dog owners, let us know.
Hanging my ass out the side of the car with a toothpick.
Why is your ass out the side of the car?
Because you gotta bend. I'm bending, listeners.
Oh.
Because it's down low. You can't just I
had this image of you driving with your ass hanging out like in fucking Rat Race.
The car's parked. The car's parked at this point.
That makes it better. Listeners, if you out there are experts in cleaning up dog shit, email us. Mr. Bunker
We'd love
Pod
to get your tips. I need them.
at gmail.com. Let us know. Help out Andy. Hashtag help out Andy. But Andy, so back to the matter at hand. How does this relate? Does it relate in any way to your being captured by Mr. Booker, or was this just the cherry on top of a shit sundae?
This is just a maraschino cherry on top of my day. And this happened yesterday. I didn't get abducted until this morning.
Yeah.
And it's a completely separate set of events. So Art, you don't know this. The listeners, you don't know this.
Nobody knows this.
I've never shared this with anybody outside of my family. I recently joined a local in my neighborhood, a treasure hunting club. And what we do is we go around the beaches in the city of Chicago. Chicago has a lot of lovely beaches. And we go around to the beaches with a metal detector and we look for treasure.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't find a whole lot, but
you find a lot of used needles and
yeah, it's, it's obscure treasure.
Maybe you do a little trash picking up, help out
it's
the society a little bit.
I mean, it's volunteer work.
Sure, okay.
In a way.
So you're walking around with your new nerd club.
I met a lot of really great people in this club. I mean, I've been doing this over the summer.
Yeah.
Met a lot of really great people. I've got some new friends from it.
Okay.
Some people that are really nice. We have a really good time when we go out and we treasure hunt. Like I said, we never really find anything, but
sure,
we enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, it's about the journey. So,
today we were supposed to go to the beach for a club photo.
Okay.
Like we had such a great summer, time to cap it off, a nice group photo. I'm the last one to arrive,
naturally.
I had a wild night, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I was running behind. I'm the last one to arrive. Everyone is already set up for the picture. So I'm worried when I show up that they've already taken it or that I'm going to interrupt. But they're not. I mean, I'm able to join into the group. And we're all posed there, everybody's set up.
Right.
And then I realize there's no photographer and there's no camera.
Oh.
Then
okay,
it's could
be an iPhone photo.
I came in last, so I'm in the front. I mean, I'm short too, so it makes sense.
Sure.
And it's all of a sudden, all the group members, they just start grabbing me and pinning me down. And it turns out the whole group was Bunker.
Wait, what?
Bunker was the whole treasure hunting club.
How is he the whole club?
He was the whole club. Everybody in the club was him.
Does he have cloning technology? Does he have... how can he possibly do this?
I guess we were always in a group. I mean...
You just never realized.
There's fishing wire or something that I never saw.
Oh my God. He was like those kayak commercials where the guys... Have you seen those kayak.com commercials? Those old ones from a couple years back?
Yeah, that's where the guy...
Yeah, the dude's typing on 4 different computers.
That's like him. That's Bunker.
Oh my God. That's intricate. And to make it look convincing...
And, you know what gets me, Art? Okay.
Do you want me to answer that? Is that rhetorical?
The whole summer. This is rhetorical. I'm going to tell you what gets me. The whole summer, we spent looking for treasure.
Wow.
We never found any treasure. And Bunker also was the friends I made along the way.
Oh my God.
He was the real treasure?
He was the real treasure. He's trying to send you a message. Oh. I'm the treasure all along. Don't stray off the path, Andy.
I mean, I was really disheartened by this.
Wow. He broke your... He captured you in one of the worst ways, but not through physical means, but through your heart.
Yeah. I thought I had made some friends, and it turned out all to be a lie.
Man. It just goes to show you, don't join a fucking treasure hunting club who sucks. You didn't even find any treasure? He couldn't even give you some fool's gold?
No.
Or a shark tooth?
I mean, I assumed it was all real. The treasure hunting part.
Dead body?
Yeah, it wasn't like one of these reality TV shows, where I'm buying a storage locker. He planted stuff in the beach for me to find.
Wow, Andy, that's terrible.
It sucks, Art.
Well, I'm very sorry.
I mean, I guess I didn't have to, get dirty or smell bad or anything on the way here, so I guess that's something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you kind of did that to yourself.
What?
By stepping in dog crap.
I didn't... Look, it wasn't that I wanted to step in it.
Well, okay, well. I'm not convinced.
I didn't want to step
Plausible
in it.
Minus.
Listeners, I did not want to step in the dog poop. I never want to step in it. I'm vehemently anti-dog poop, and I think that my stance in my election campaign made that clear.
Wow, Andy, I'm sorry that you didn't find any treasure. And similar to me, I didn't find any treats.
Oh.
Because the way Bunker got me this week is it's a little embarrassing. And it's a little sweet, but it turned a little sour. You know what I'm saying?
Sour Patch Kids?
No.
Oh.
No, not a fan.
They're
They're all right. Andy, are you familiar with New Orleans cooking?
Oh boy.
You know I love it.
Am I ever?
You know this about me, but the listeners don't know this, is that I went through a Cajun phase that some might say I'm still in. I love Cajun food. Cajun cooking, New Orleans cooking. I would love to go to New Orleans one day. Nolans, however you say it. I'm going to say New Orleans.
Listeners, Art and I, true story, we were in a restaurant one time and Art was reading the menu and he goes, "Ooh, what's this? Andoville sausage? What's that?"
Hey, listen, if the scripts are any proof, I don't know how to read very well. Reading comprehension and not my best.
Not even comprehension, just reading letters generally.
Right. Yeah, just the execution of it in general. Andeville sausage, love that andouille sausage. Love a gumbo. I love a po' boy. I love. I've never had crawdads, but I'd try them.
Oh, they're good.
Yeah. But there's another piece of the New Orleans cooking thing besides the Holy Trinity. Oops, dropped my phone. And that is the beignet.
Oh.
Now, the beignet is kind of like a French donut, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who are unfamiliar.
It's basically a fried wad of dough.
Yeah, and it's sweet, normally covered in powdered sugar. And now I heard a knocking at my door, and I said, "Oh boy, what's this gonna be?" Hey, bae. And so, I'm expecting a couple packages, so I thought, it's my packages.
Mm-hmm.
And I open the door, and what do I see? A delicious plate of beignets right in front of me. And I'm thinking, nice. I didn't order these. But, maybe it was one of my neighbors. Maybe they dropped off some beignets. Yeah. Maybe it was a fan of the show. I'm not opposed to trying random treats left out on the street.
Yeah.
I mean, we all trust each other during Halloween. That's just how I was raised. Now,
okay,
there's this delicious plate of beignets just sitting in front of me, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to bring these inside.
Yeah.
And now, as I'm trying to pick up the beignets off the ground, Andy, it's like attached to my stoop in a way that I can't pull them off.
Yeah.
Like it was welded or cemented to the ground.
So there's no elasticity here. It's just like
it's a plate of
just a plate on the ground that can't be moved at all.
So I'm trying to move it, and then I'm thinking, well, whatever. I don't know. Maybe this. I don't know. I don't care. I just want those beignets in my mouth right now because I'm such a freak for New Orleans cooking.
Yay.
So I try to pick up the beignets. Same thing. They're all welded together.
Are they hard?
Yeah, they're like it's almost like a hard plastic mold.
So this is more like an art piece rather than...
Yeah. You're telling me? That's my name. And all of a sudden, Andy, a little tube spurts out of the top of this structure of beignets.
How big a tube?
Kind of like in Austin Powers when the boob robots show a little, like the guns come out of...
yeah.
What was that model's name? She was like the most searched woman on the internet in 2002. She was in that movie. Christy Brinkley. Now, you might be thinking I know that. I know that because I love Guinness Book of World Records, not because I necessarily love Austin Powers.
You love Christy Brinkley.
Who doesn't?
She was married to Billy Joel, wasn't she?
All right, well, now we got to look it up. Here we go.
Was it Christy Brinkley?
I think it was her. Peter Cook.
Peter Cook.
Yep, she was married to Billy Joel for over almost 10 years. Anyway, well, hang on. Now I got to look up and see if she was actually in that movie.
I'm not sure that it was Christy Brinkley.
Oh, fuck. I don't think it was.
All
right, whoever played the fembots in Austin Powers, Christy Brinkley was one of the most downloaded images on the internet in 2002. Anyway, Andy, back to the story. This little tube comes out and it starts squirting hot dough all over me. I get covered in dough. Oh. I'm thinking, no.
Cindy Margolis?
Cindy Margolis.
Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Cindy Margolis. She might have been the most downloaded. I don't know, whatever. I might cut that whole section out just to make me not look like a fucking idiot. After I said I loved Guinness Book of World Records, then I got the record wrong.
Maybe it was Christy Brinkley.
I don't want to look like an idiot. Anyway, I got covered in hot dough. And I'm like, don't know. I'm being covered in dough.
Oh, God.
And all of a sudden...
Hot dough?
Hot dough. From the
hot dough?
Hot dough.
Like,
it was hot dough.
Hot liquid dough?
It was hot dough.
How hot?
A hot dough. Like what a male deer might say when he's looking to mate. There's a hot dough. Anyway, I get covered in powdered sugar from the ceiling, and I'm thinking, Bunker turned me into a beignet. And it was, you know what I was thinking, Andy? I wasn't thinking beignet. I was thinking beignet. Oh, boy. So then he takes me, Andy.
Oh.
And he puts me in a giant deep fryer.
Wait.
And he fries me alive.
He fried you alive?
He fried me alive. But the dough protected me. But I was encased in a beignet. I was stuck inside of this,
None of the hot searing oil got in past the
dough. I was literally covered in dough and powdered sugar, which you're supposed to put on last. I don't know what he was doing. So he fries me alive. He's going to have to
change that oil.
Yeah, he's going to have to change that oil for sure. He fries me alive and then repowders me. And I was just encased in this large beignet. I'm thinking beignet. Beignet. Not beignet, beignet.
Beignet.
And then he just cut me open and brought me here. He couldn't have even, give us some of the beignet to share.
You didn't even get to enjoy any of the beignet?
No. And I know you would have liked some beignet.
I love beignet.
Yeah, some art-flavored beignet.
Yeah, give me any kind of fried dough.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, that was me. A sticky situation.
To be sure.
Yeah. So,
boy,
you see what I'm saying when it started sweet and turned sour, am I right?
Yeah.
Anyway, listeners, that is how Mr. Bunker captured Andy and I this week.
He was elaborate this week.
He was busy this week.
Yeah.
He was busy. Yeah, he was not messing around this week. And that's because we have such a great topic.
Yeah.
One of the cornerstones of any conspiracy or paranormal podcast worth its fucking salt is the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And listeners, get ready for takeoff because we're going to Dayton, Ohio right now.
Fasten your seatbelts. Art. Over the course of repeatedly being abducted by Mr. Bunker, we've covered a variety of topics in conspiracy, crime, the supernatural, etc. In your opinion, what's the biggest conspiracy we've covered so far?
I gotta say it's JFK. I think we said it on the episode. We said it best. It was our magnum opus.
We peaked early.
I think that's the biggest one. It was one of the biggest ones in the 60s when it started. People still talk about it.
Yeah.
It was that generation's national tragedy that they can all say, where were you when you found out the news that Kennedy was assassinated? And pretty much immediately people were pretty skeptical of it, and people have been talking about it ever since. It's referenced in countless pieces of media where today's topic, Wright-Pat, might be as well, but not as much. I think Roswell is a big one that's been, you see like Roswell as like a funny trope that you see, but you see a lot of Zapruder film tropes, Kennedy tropes, second shooter tropes, grassy knoll. These are all terms that people can throw around and pretty easily. Like I'd wager a guess that a bulk of the population knows what they mean.
Yeah.
I
have to agree with you. I think that JFK, we said, is probably like the granddaddy of modern conspiracy theories. And it's a huge cultural touchstone.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
But Art, there's one topic that really has yet to be covered in depth by us.
Okay.
One topic that's practically oozing conspiracy or cover-up, and JFK may be the biggest conspiracy of the past. This is one that potentially has the largest impact on the future development of human civilization.
Okay.
You teased it a little bit.
I teased it.
I speak, of course, of aliens.
Aliens, baby. What a great film. The sequel to The Great Alien, and really underappreciated sound effects editing, for which, Andy, it won an Oscar, by the way.
No, Art. It's not the film that I've never seen.
Oh.
I'm speaking about extraterrestrials, visitors from outer space. Now, Art, the existence of intelligent extraterrestrial life forms has allegedly been known for a long time. Some even claim that ancient humans were visited by extraterrestrials who shaped our culture and religion. There are even those who say humans were created by extraterrestrials.
Well, Andy, humans throughout history have, have related tales of strange lights in the sky and unusual events on the earth. That's leading many to believe that we're not alone in the universe. While evidence continues to accumulate and be investigated, conclusions are few. Are world governments conspiring to suppress knowledge of extraterrestrial visitation?
Art,
Andy,
let's assume that widespread government conspiracy to obfuscate the truth about extraterrestrials is an orange.
Like the color.
Fruit. Like the fruit.
Oh, okay.
Like the fruit. Think of it like an orange. Today, we're going to be eating one segment of that orange.
It's just one?
But don't worry. We're going to give the listeners the whole enchilada on this orange segment. It's going to be a citrus-flavored enchilada.
Oh, you're getting your vitamin C today. Vitamin conspiracy.
As we've mentioned, today's topic is the secrets of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Andy, you're a well-documented Ohioan.
Yes, I have papers.
Then you surely know that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is located outside Dayton, Ohio. Andy, have you ever been to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base?
Actually, Art, I have.
Oh, boy.
Been to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. In fact, I visited the National Museum of the United States Air Force as a supple young boy. I realize, though, that not all of our listeners, or even you for that matter, have had the good fortune of being Ohio born and bred.
All right.
So allow me to give everyone a bit of information about the history of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which henceforth we shall call Wright-Pat.
It's so much easier to say.
As the locals do. Wright-Pat had humble but nonetheless historic beginnings. The name Wright comes from none other than the Wright brothers, Dayton's pair of flying aces who somewhat famously invented, built, and flew the world's first successful airplane. The legendary first flight happened near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, not in Ohio. After making history, though, the Wrights returned to Dayton and needed a place to continue their flight experiments. Local Daytonian, don't call them Daytonites, local Daytonian Torrance Huffman, let the Wright bros use his pasture. The pasture was known as Huffman Prairie, after the titular Torrance Huffman. The Wright bros used the land to test their Wright Flyer 3, and later the land became home to the Wright School of Aviation.
Then the government gets involved. Huffman Prairie area land transfers to the United States beginning during World War I, or as I like to call it, World War II, the Phantom Menace.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Hey, a metaphor that makes complete sense to only me. The U.S. gathered enough land to establish Wilbur Wright Field in May of 1917. McCook Field was established in November of 1917, and both of these airfields were operated by the Army Air Service, which is a predecessor of the U.S. Air Force. Even after the feds took over, Wright and McCook Fields continued to be important centers for flight knowledge. In fact, after World War I, 347 German aircraft were brought back to the USA. some bound for McCook Field's engineering division for technical preservation.
You know, Art, some of those planes ended up in the Army Aeronautical Museum, which was later renamed the National Museum of the United States Air Force, which is the same museum I previously mentioned visiting.
Well, I guess that brings us full circle then, doesn't it, Andy? That's the story of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and thank you for listening.
No, Art, wait!
What?
There's plenty more tasty enchilada to deliver to the listeners.
Oh!
Juicy morsels, such as between World Wars I and II, Wright and McCook Fields carried out test flights and research. The point we're trying to make here is the facilities that eventually became Wright-Pat had a pedigree of technical expertise and advanced knowledge. This is likely why captured German and Japanese aircraft began making their way to the Wright-Pat area in 1943. Wright-Pat engineers reconstructed a German pulse jet engine, the same one used on V-1 rockets, in 1944. During the war, the best-named military operation that I'm aware of, Operation Lusty, brought 86 German aircraft to Wright-Pat. Art, listeners, just so you know, Lusty, in the context of the operation at least, is an acronym. We love acronyms on this podcast. Right. It's an acronym for Luftwaffe Secret Technology. Lusty. Then after World War II, the, as far as I'm aware, non-acronym related Operation Paperclip, the Pokemon-style operation aimed at capturing German scientists, then bringing their talents to the USA, brought German scientific minds to Wright-Pat.
Gotta catch them all. Listeners, we've established that Wright-Pat was home to expert scientific and engineering minds. So, maybe it's not so surprising that Wright-Pat also became home to Air Force projects Sign, Grudge, and Blue Book. Our savvier listeners may recognize these projects as those launched by the Air Force to, drum roll please, investigate UFOs. That's right, listeners. Now we're in deep. Project Sign was started in 1947 in the wake of the Roswell Ufo Incident to investigate UFO experiences. While Sign ended in 1949, Projects Grudge and eventually Blue Book took its place, with essentially the same goal. But hold on. What's the Roswell UFO Incident, you might be asking? Allow me to explain. The Roswell UFO Incident is a somewhat famous occurrence in Lincoln County, New Mexico, where a rancher found a bunch of debris on his ranch. The military got involved from nearby Roswell Army Airfield, and after collecting and inspecting the debris, initially reported the crash of a flying disc on the ranch. Some eyewitnesses even reported seeing small bodies transported from the crash site. Now, listeners, there's a lot more to talk about Roswell, but that's not what we're here to do today. If Mr. Bunker so wills it, or if you, the listeners, want to hear us talk about it, we will one day cover Roswell in depth. Today's story, though, is all about Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yes, and at first, Roswell and Wright-Pat might seem only connected through Project Sign. But that's not all. You see, the wreckage from Roswell was transported to Wright-Pat. Though Roswell Army Airfield reported a flying disc, they really weren't sure what they had exactly, what had crashed. So they sent it to the experts at Wright-Pat. Some folks believe that bodies recovered from the Roswell crash were also shipped to Wright-Pat. This wreckage, plus the bodies, were allegedly stored in Hangar 18 at Wright-Pat. Hangar 18 was, of course, made famous by Megadeth on their 1990 album, Rust in Peace. Yeah. Sorry, you know it.
Yep.
You love it. One thing, though, there never actually was a Hangar 18 at Wright-Pat. Now, I already hear you from the future, listeners. Yes, the official Wright-Pat position is that Hangar 18 never existed, but stick with me here. Even at least one believer disputes that Hangar 18 existed. Ray Szymanski is a paranormal researcher, author of the book 50 Shades of Gray's Evidence of Extraterrestrial Visitation to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and Beyond, and a former Wright-Pat employee. Even Ray Szymanski agrees that Hangar 18 never existed. He says the wreckage that was found at Roswell was a lot of small pieces. It wouldn't require a hangar for storage. Also, you don't store bodies in a hangar. Think of the smell. Art! Those things are going to rot. You store them in a hangar?
Hey, you're telling me.
Come on. That's base body storage 101. Don't put them in a hangar. Anyway. Ray Szymanski thinks of Hangar 18 as just a specific name for the more generic meaning of any place that stores secret stuff at Wright-Pat. So it's like a catch-all, basically, for any place they're keeping secrets. But if Hangar 18 doesn't exist, does any of the secret stuff actually exist? Well, let's consider this anecdote. Former U.S. Senator and presidential candidate Barry Goldwater once asked U.S. Air Force General Curtis Lemay if Lemay would show him the room at Wright-Pat where all the extraterrestrial stuff was. I mean, Goldwater says the secret stuff, but I think that's what he's getting at. According to Goldwater, Lemay cusses him out and told him never to ask him that question again. And according to Goldwater, Lemay was not the type to get angry. So think about that. A quick historical detour while you're thinking about that. Curtis Lemay was born in Columbus, Ohio, graduated from Ohio State University.
My Ohio State
alma mater.
The Ohio State University.
Okay. All right. I get it.
Right?
It's in the name. Sure.
Okay. Does say.
All right. Art's going to get his "the" shirt.
It's trademarked.
Curtis Lemay, born in Columbus, graduated from Ohio State. Also, during World War II, instituted the nighttime incendiary bombings of mainland Japan that killed an estimated 500,000 civilians. Also to note, he was segregationist George Wallace's running mate during the 1968 election.
Wow, thanks for that, but now back to the topic at hand.
Fun little detour there.
Fun little history detour.
Mm-hmm.
What did Wright-Pat ultimately decide about the wreckage recovered from the Roswell crash? Well, the base determined that the Roswell wreckage was that of a spy balloon, part of a top-secret project called Project Mogul. And no, this is not P. Diddy. What exactly was Project Mogul? I'm glad you asked, listeners in your brains. Project Mogul was active from 1947 to 1949 and was part of a larger, not-so-secret project to develop stable altitude balloons. The idea behind Project Mogul was to develop high-altitude balloons that were equipped with microphones to detect Soviet nuclear test activity. Eventually, the project made use of huge polyethylene balloons, but at first, Andy just made a very surprised face like that I pronounced that correctly on the first try. But at first,
turn into a leaf.
The balloons were clustered rubber weather balloons with radar reflectors attached. All the pieces and parts together made a balloon train that could stretch over 600 feet. For reference, the Seattle Space Needle is about 600 feet tall. These are huge balloons.
We got a Space Needle's worth of balloons.
Yeah. It's going to take one strong clown. For those of you familiar with Roswell, you might be saying, wait, I thought the Air Force determined that the Roswell crash was a weather balloon. I've never heard of Project Mogul. This podcast is garbage.
Oh, listeners.
You're not wrong, but listeners, please, don't be so hasty. Allow Andy and I to explain. The Air Force did, in fact, attribute the Roswell crash to an ordinary weather balloon. However, Project Mogul was a top-secret project, and the government didn't want to risk making it public. So they said it was a weather balloon to kill the story, which, to their credit, worked initially. Years later, though, Roswell became a popular topic again, and eventually people started asking the Air Force if it was telling the truth. The Air Force investigated its response to Roswell and finally admitted that the collected debris were those of the downed Mogul balloons. Despite this additional disclosure, there are still those that say that Wright-Pat is hiding something. Consider the story of June Crane, a Wright-Pat employee in the late 1940s and early 1950s. June claims that deceased extraterrestrial bodies were brought to Wright-Pat following a UFO crash. She claims to have held a metal sheet that could be crumpled like paper, but when released, returned to its original shape, which she was not able to cut with scissors. She also recalls base personnel laughing it up when the Air Force said UFOs were weather balloons. Now, to be fair, not everyone thinks that June's testimony is so believable. She claims to have been at the base following 3 UFO crashes. Her verifiable employment history, though, is, well, it's a little bit spotty, and not all the dates match up with known crashes, including Roswell. That said, there are others who claim to have seen extraterrestrial bodies at the base at Wright-Pat.
Including in cryogenic chambers in an underground vault beneath the base. Art.
Dun, dun, dun.
Did you know that there is an extensive network of tunnels underneath Dayton's own Wright State University?
I wasn't even aware of the existence of Wright State University.
Well, now you are. Wright State sits on land originally donated by the Air Force from excess land at Wright-Pat. Interesting that all this land donated from Wright-Pat has a bunch of tunnels connecting the buildings, is it not? Is there a similar network of tunnels connecting the buildings at Wright-Pat? Solid proof is hard to find, but Ray Szymanski says he's seen them, except for the cryogenic chambers. He didn't see those. Considering that, were the tunnels under Wright State remnants from a separate military facility that the Air Force didn't need any longer? Wright State says its tunnels were built to support electrical systems for its early buildings, and since then, the tunnels have been opened up to students, faculty, and staff for convenience of travel between buildings.
You know, is it possible that the Air Force made off with some of that sweet alien tech and all of this, Andy?
Well, you know, I think it's worth mentioning at this point, given that question, Art, that during the Cold War, the Air Force ran a project known as Moondust. The goal of Project Moondust was essentially to capture any crashed space technology and study its technical aspects. Some people believe that Wright-Pat may have used the information gathered in such a project to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology.
Ooh-wee! That's what I'm talking about, Andy.
Wow, you are into Cajun stuff.
I tell you, I love Andeville sausage. In fact, there are multiple accounts from Wright-Pat employees who claim to have seen flying saucers or other alien-type craft on base at Wright-Pat. Let's not forget the UFO sighting near the base, which people said appeared to be going toward the base itself. We already know that Wright-Pat had the capabilities of engineering the technologies of other countries, a la the V1 engine. So why not alien technology? Obviously, listeners, alien technology has never been confirmed, though. And these are strictly just stories at this point. But who knows? Maybe it's true. Who knows? There have been a lot of weird things that happen at Wright-Pat.
Including ghosts. Yes, listeners, Wright-Pat has been the subject of several terrifying ghost hunting TV shows, all thanks to a number of accounts from people who've experienced something paranormal there. These aren't extraterrestrials, but is there some type of energy at Wright-Pat that draws people in even from beyond the grave?
We sure have covered a lot of ground today, Andy, and learned a lot about Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in the process.
You are correct, Art, but I think we need to learn a little more about Megadeth. So let's leave the listeners with these lyrics from the aforementioned hit song, Hangar 18. Welcome to our fortress tall. Take some time to show you round. Impossible to break these walls, for you see the steel is much too strong. Computer banks to rule the world, instruments to sight the stars. Possibly, I've seen too much. Hangar 18, I know too much. Foreign life forms inventory, suspended state of cryogenics. Selective amnesia's the story. Believed, foretold, but who'd suspect? The military intelligence. 2 words combined that can't make sense. Possibly, I've seen too much. Hangar 18, I know too much.
Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast will be right back after this brief message. Hey, listeners, this is Art. I'm here with Andy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, we just really quick wanted to say thank you for listening.
We appreciate that you take time out of your day and spend it with us.
And if you feel so inclined, all we ask is that if you're enjoying the show, maybe share it with a friend.
Tell your friends. Have them take a listen.
Maybe they'll enjoy it too. Anyway,
spread the love.
Spread the love, and let's get back to the show.
Catch you later.
Welcome back, listeners. That was our research of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
That's the sound of a jet.
You know, fitting, Andy, that we are discussing this Air Force Base today because the Air and Water Show is taking place here in lovely Chicagoland. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you did, but I definitely heard it all throughout the work week. The Blue Angels were practicing all week.
They were. In fact, on one day I was on the Green Line train.
That's right.
Heading into the loop and saw the Blue Angels fly right by.
For those of you who are not familiar, the Blue Angels are they're like the U.S. Navy, like Air Force trick flying team, but they're not like, they're kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters for fighter jets, but I think they're a lot more, it's like a military decoration more than like a fun show, maybe.
Right.
You obviously have to be like stupidly skilled to do what they do. They do insane flying stunts going at faster than the Mach 1, faster than the speed of sound. In fact, when I saw one of the jets, I was standing on the street corner with a bag of Potbellies, waiting to go back to my office to eat my lunch. Potbellies is a sandwich chain.
Wait, what? Were you waiting at a traffic light?
Yeah.
Or okay.
I was just waiting on the corner eating my sandwich.
Just loitering in the sidewalk.
And I look up, and it's so fucking cool if you've never seen it. I would never pay to go to the air.
It's free.
It's free, but I would never
go. It's too many people.
Way too many people, and it's way too hot out. But I was looking up, and if you've never seen it happen, it's so cool. You see the jet fly by, and then you hear the sound. Because they're traveling faster than the speed of light. Traveling faster than than the speed of sound. So it's like you see the jet and it's silence, and then like half a second later you hear this crack and this whoosh, and the crack and the whoosh of their jet engines are reverberating off all the skyscrapers. It was really fucking cool. Also, the jet was flying upside down and doing like this gnarly turn through the air. Really cool to see while I was about to go eat my lunch.
Yeah.
So I creamed my pants, and then I went and I had my chicken salad with bacon.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
The classic combo.
Yeah. Okay, but Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
You know, Wright-Pat probably has something to do with the Air and Water Show because Wright-Pat is the like logistics hub of the entire Air Force. Like the material division sits there.
Oh, wow.
The leadership. So they're responsible for like the movement of material and ordnance and personnel all throughout the world.
Wow.
On behalf of the Air Force.
Well, listeners, if you've ever wanted Ohio facts, Andy's your guy to go to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andy. So where do you want to start with Wright-Patterson Air Force Base?
I want to start here with you. Like obviously this is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is. We're mainly talking about it in the context of like extraterrestrials.
Sure.
Government cover up.
Yeah.
It's
talking about aliens.
What's you ask me this a lot. Blanket thoughts. Before we dive in, what's your kickoff?
I definitely think it's highly plausible that extraterrestrials exist. It's just because of the sheer magnitude of this universe that we're floating through.
The math of it almost means
there's just no way we're the only fucking intelligent creatures. There's got to be someone else.
Let me say this.
Go ahead and say it.
We know with absolute certainty that extraterrestrial life exists.
Right. They might not be grays or blues or greens.
We don't know about intelligent extraterrestrial life.
We know that it
like
exists.
we understand it.
Exactly. So when I think about aliens, could they be visiting us? Maybe. The thing that always gets me is, and this might sound a little dumb, but I'm going to say it anyway.
That's never stopped you before.
These aliens, yeah, that's true. I want to say this. Were those gray aliens that they saw, or are they just the kind of malnourished sickos who enjoy Skyline chili? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Were they operating on grays, or were they operating on somebody who had too much Skyline chili?
He's only had a 5-way every day for the last 45 years.
I'm joking. I've never gotten to try Skyline chili. I look forward to trying it someday.
Art's mad because we were in Cincinnati once, and I
For
wouldn't
the
let
improv
him.
festival.
I wouldn't let him try it.
You wouldn't let me try it because you and your wife don't like it. But that's okay. Anyway, alien tech. Okay, they have this amazing tech that's so much more advanced than us. Why are they always crashing? That's, I mean, maybe that's dumb.
Yeah.
But there's so, we talked about this June Crane character, and she says, oh, they have this incredible aircraft made of this structure that can be crumpled like paper, but when released, it reholds its shape and you can't cut it with scissors. Okay, why are they crashing? Why are they crashing to Earth's surface? What about these highly intelligent life forms is making them, are they drunk? Are these the lowest aliens on the totem pole? Are these like teenage aliens out for a teenage joyride and they're,
You've talked about this before, the District 9
yes,
hypothesis.
but that is like they're refugees and they come down and they're the sickly workers of their alien race who have been exiled, or they're seeking refuge. I can't exactly remember what it was. Why? They're always like, I don't know. And you could just say well, they just happened to crash. It just happened. They're not used to our atmosphere or something. But I just find it hard to believe that highly intelligent life forms aren't first scoping out everything about our planet and then fucking around with the place here and then leaving. I am much more easily convinced that there's something involving government spying tech, something and that's why they're it's a weather balloon. They'd rather you believe it's a UFO or an alien than understand that it was probably some sort of device used to spy.
I think you bring up a good point here, and I kind of want to piggyback on this, is that one thing that we know for sure, we can pretty much say with a high degree of certainty, is that in reasonable proximity to our planet, there aren't other spacefaring civilizations, because surely we would be able to detect something
at this point, for sure.
Because these civilizations theoretically would be of a similar age to ours. So, if anything, they might be a little more advanced than us. So
we talked about the Kardashev scale on our Botes Void episode.
If something, depending on how the planet developed, obviously humanity's not that old. If the dinosaurs had evolved to be like us, with consciousness and stuff, who knows? Maybe they could have been in space a long time ago, which is freaking scary and cool as hell.
A T-Rex riding in a fucking spaceship, dude? Hell yeah. Space truck and T-Rex.
Commander T-Rex.
I like a space truck and T-Rex.
Yeah, Trucker Rex.
Yeah.
Space Trucker Rex.
I got these tiny arms.
But my point is, we don't really have any indication that in the general vicinity of our planet that there's any other intelligent life.
Right.
Which means that intelligent life that does exist has to be a long way away from us, which means that the further away from us you get, the greater the technical expertise you would need. I mean, we could travel to the Andromeda Galaxy. I mean, the crew would not survive because I mean, we wouldn't have supplies. Like we don't have the technology, and it would take forever to get
You would
there.
need a crew reproducing and then raising that offspring on board.
Because what? Andromeda is like 4 light years away from our from Earth, right?
Something like that.
So it's like, I mean, we could get there, but I mean, it would take a really long time. And, you know, like you said, the crew would have to just be, keep reproducing to keep the ship
Sign
going.
me up. You know what I'm saying?
NASA, are you listening?
Hit us up.
But I mean, so like getting further away, you need more technical expertise. I mean, you start to get further away than that and you're going like, this would take too long. Like there's no way you could never supply a ship like we have with enough supplies, because it would have to be like an unincalculable amount of like supplies.
So their tech would have to be so advanced that, like, I'm just not convinced that they're crash landing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, why are they crashing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that sure things would happen, but I have to agree with you. Like, we're talking about a civilization that has real technological bona fides at this point.
Yeah.
You know, like, how would they be so careless? And then they can't clean it up. Like, they sent one ship. Like, there's not even a second ship to, like, in case something goes wrong with the other one. Like a scout
ship? Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, it just seems, I don't know. It seems irresponsible.
Yeah. Aliens, you're better than that.
But I'll say this. Roswell is kind of the genesis of this.
Right.
You know, Roswell was like one of the first. I mean, there was like a UFO sighting before Roswell that was kind of like got the government's interest. And then Roswell was like the big one.
Right.
Because it got into public.
And they said it was a UFO, and they said things about it being a weather balloon, and you know, they changed the story a bunch.
Yeah. You know, and I think the government's concern at the time, the reason for the investigation, I mean, what a lot of people jump to is that it's suppression, that they want to suppress knowledge of alien extraterrestrials.
Right.
Because they don't think that civilization's ready for it. Because
they're half right.
You know, it's like our government would collapse if people knew. But I think the concern that they really had is that this is some kind of like Soviet technology.
Oh, for sure. That's why they're half right. They're
because they were trying to do the same thing to the Soviets.
Yeah.
So they're worried that the Soviets are also doing this, but further along and have stuff in our country already.
Yeah. And they don't want to look like, we've mentioned it before on previous episodes. For example, our Stanley Kubrick episode, that America likes to have the biggest dick in the fucking urinal party.
That's why we have Florida. The flaccid wang of America.
You know, we don't like, that's not how, that's what really would cause public unrest, is that, oh wow, our country is weak as fuck and the Soviets are beating us at everything.
Yeah.
Like, not fucking aliens. They don't give a shit if they really cared about us talking about aliens, I don't think the government would allow you to talk about aliens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you know, you mentioned June Crane.
There wouldn't be like a million podcasts and things about, and movies and stuff about aliens.
Yeah. I mean, and
just put the kibosh on it.
One of the things that June Crane said was that there was a memo that went around after the bodies allegedly arrived that like somebody was spreading a rumor about bodies being on the base.
Right.
And that if people continued to spread it, that they would be like, could lose their job and be fined and go to jail for 20 years. And I read something that was like kind of like disputing that a little bit, saying like a rumor isn't against the law. Like if it's a rumor, nobody's done anything wrong. They can't like put you in jail because you repeated a rumor. So I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, if they really, like you said, if they really didn't want you to talk about it, they probably like passed some law that made it illegal to spread rumors like that. And then they put you in jail.
They probably didn't want rumors spreading because they didn't want people being like, if there were bodies, are they bodies of Soviet soldiers? Or who are these bodies? You know what I'm saying?
The bodies thing is pretty heavily disputed.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that, it's like at the time there's no nothing, it's like all speculative. Like people say, oh, I thought I saw this. And, Roswell's one of those things that it died pretty quickly.
Right.
In the press, the Air Force came out and said it was a weather balloon, and people kind of stopped caring about it right away. Because it looked like a weather balloon.
Which is bullshit, because we should all care about the weather.
Yeah.
As much as I do.
Americans, come on.
I love talking about the weather.
This is why we're in this global warming fix we are now, is because people in the 1940s heard a weather balloon and went, well, thanks a lot.
Jeez.
Anyway. The bodies thing is pretty disputed. And with Roswell, like I said, it died away for a while. And then it comes back. People start to 20 years later, they start to go like, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't add up.
And it's like then all of a sudden there's more testimonies and stuff. So one thing that hits me about a lot of this is that a lot of the eyewitness accounts and stuff are being delivered either from a deathbed or years after the fact. So look, we talked about this with the Mandela effect. Even information that you get after you already create a memory can change your memory.
Right.
Your memory doesn't get set in stone.
Right.
Are these, nobody's evaluating these claims and saying is this person actually remembering this correctly?
Right.
So, yes, listeners, I'm a skeptic. Sure. I think
I would like to see aliens. I think aliens would be cool.
Yeah.
And that's,
these eyewitness accounts are sure interesting.
Oh yeah.
And it'd be interesting to know, but I think probably at the end of the day, we won't know for sure because it's secret government stuff.
Right. That was the whole thing with that stealth bomber, right? The one that looks like a big triangle that they don't use anymore.
Yeah.
They were developing that thing.
Yeah.
And it's they have all these secrets because they don't want other countries to know what we're cooking up.
Yeah. And, some people say that at Wright-Pat in a hangar, they saw a flying saucer.
Yeah.
Like an operational one that could be flown.
And people talk about that with Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
They had flying saucers and schematics.
That could be a misinterpretation of what you saw.
Right.
If you see something that you've never seen before, the only thing that you can do is try to relate it to something that you already know.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times people say, oh, I saw this thing, but it's
looked like a UFO.
It's because in your mind, that's the only way you can rationalize it, is because you don't know what you're looking at.
I look at it too this way, Andy, is that we have actual factual historical proof of secret operations initiated by the government to spy, to test, to drug.
And let's not lie here. The government did lie about Roswell. It was not just a weather balloon.
No, it wasn't. It was a spying balloon.
Yeah.
A big, giant, 600-foot tall spying balloon.
A long-ass spying balloon.
That sounds like, no offense, a spying balloon sounds like fucking something stupid that you and I would come up with.
So just a little...
You guys know balloons? You guys remember balloons? You guys go to the fair and get a balloon? All right, here's the thing. We're going to attach a camera and a microphone to the balloon, and we're going to send it over to the Russians.
So Project Mogul was part of this, actual, a study that was being done at a university in New York to develop a high altitude balloon that would also be stable altitude. So in other words, it doesn't keep rising.
It stays
and
at
sinking.
one.
Will stay at a.
I'm joking, but that is cool technology.
It's very cool,
and it's difficult to do.
And Mogul was the secret part of that project. So the high altitude balloon stuff wasn't a secret, but Mogul, they were putting microphones in a specific type of microphone in the balloon with the plans to float these over the Soviet Union, in areas where they suspected there were nuclear tests.
Right.
And then the balloon would be able to pick up the sound waves, and they could analyze it to determine if there was nuclear testing going on.
Right.
The program only went for a couple of years because it was wildly expensive to build.
And also the Soviets started developing needles.
Yeah.
And so we're they countered our balloon tech.
Oh boy.
Jeez, the number one foil to our balloon tech.
Well, really, they found that
Birds with sharp beaks and needles.
Oh boy, a flock of geese.
Yeah, that's what the Soviets
Who
really
would
did.
have thought that Stalin would have a flock of geese?
They started tying needles, really pointy pencils, to the beaks of birds and said, "Fly that way."
Yeah.
Yet. Oh, Stalin.
But they found better techniques of detecting it after that anyway. So that project kind of got shelved.
That weren't
But
balloons.
the original Mogul testing was done in the Northeast, but because of the winds in the Northeast, it was really difficult to get good test flights. So they moved the operations to the Southwest. So they were actually launching Mogul balloons in New Mexico. So all the little pieces and stuff, like if you've ever seen the pictures, it's like a huge train and there's like different balloons and stuff before they went to the huge polyethylene balloons.
Yeah.
Because then it was a lot simpler, but like all this stuff sounds like a Mogul balloon.
The idea to me of also like they had humans operating on these alien bodies attempting to keep them alive is very funny to me.
Yeah, there's one testimony.
I don't know what this is.
There's one testimony of a guy whose dad worked at Wright-Pat, or I think it was Wright-Pat. Anyway, an Air Force base, and he like confessed to his son as he was about to die that he had seen these alien bodies and that they had done experiments on the bodies and they failed to keep the bodies alive. So they basically like captured living extraterrestrials is what his dad says. And then they died.
That very well may be true, but...
And June Crane says the bodies that came to Roswell, they were all dead. But what's interesting is that a lot of people say that gray aliens, June Crane says like bluish green was the color of the skin.
Which we know could possibly be the Arcturians, who are supposedly good aliens.
Right.
But we've also heard that they are much more ethereal types of beings that don't really have... that they're much more consciousness-based, and they're based in love.
Right.
So why would they be crashing on our planet?
It's a fair question, Art.
You know? They're much more advanced. They just are part of the singularity.
But
you know, I think these sorts of things happened a lot in those years because the military was doing much more tangible tests, like we said with the balloons. It was the computers didn't exist in the way that they did now. They might have had technology that was more advanced. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that nowadays it's all about like it's computers, it's networks, it's bioengineering, it's sort of these things. It's less like we're going to launch a giant balloon into the sky and test whether we can hear people, right? Like,
right.
So that's why I think you get much more UFO sightings back then. You don't really get a lot now. You might still get like lights and other weird things, but you're not getting like we haven't had another Roswell.
I think that communication is a lot better too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like obviously the military learns from its mistakes when it causes an uproar.
Yeah, if something happened and a piece of their tech fell from the sky, they would immediately have tracking and GPS locating on it.
Yeah.
They would have people who would know where it's at all times and go to retrieve it.
Because I think what I read is that Mogul balloon that crashed in New Mexico, they lost it on the radar.
Right.
Like it's supposed to be able to track by radar, but because of the winds or something, like it got messed up and they couldn't track it. The people who were tracking it didn't have expertise to track it.
Yeah.
Because they had never done it before. So it's like sometimes these things suffer from, because it's so unusual. And also nobody knows what to do with it.
A clown was actually accidentally let loose and he filled it with too much helium.
Yeah.
And
hilarity ensued. The body they recovered was the clown.
All these organs are shocking me. I'm trying to take out his funny bone. This is one crazy operation. Oh, God, his bread basket. Put his bread basket back. He's got butterflies in his stomach. Oh!
Oh, literal butterflies.
How come that guy didn't have a penis?
The clown?
The operation guy. They need to make an adult version again. You know what game I had as a child?
No.
I'm sorry to go on this tangent, but
No, it's
I
okay.
just remembered this. I had a version of Operation as a child, but instead of the pear-shaped, large-hipped clown man that is on the regular Operation board,
Yeah.
it was an alien.
Oh.
I had an alien version as a kid,
Wow.
and I'm just remembering that now.
Capitalizing on the alien autopsy.
I think that was the name of the game.
Yeah.
It was Alien Autopsy.
Yeah, there was a special on Fox in the mid-90s called Alien Autopsy, which was proven to be not a real... There was no actual autopsy of an extraterrestrial.
I'm trying to look up images of it. Oh my God, I just found it.
Oh boy. This is a big day. Oh, I'm getting it's literally called Alien Autopsy game.
Alien Autopsy, the game, when I was a little kid. Very cool game. Anyway, listeners, if you out there ever played Alien Autopsy, tweet at us.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Hashtag Alien Autopsy, the game. Okay, so Andy, let's talk about this. So Wright-Pat has all the makings of a perfect UFO conspiracy in my book.
Absolutely, for sure.
And much like Skyline Chili, it starts with the base. Some kind of military intelligence debris, which is like the spaghetti. Then you have the meat of it, the chili, all the hidden aircraft and the supposed secret hangar. Finally, the delicious cheese garnish on top. The secret tunnels.
Yeah.
What about these secrets? I'm telling you, Andy, it's not a fucking perfect UFO conspiracy unless there are secret tunnels.
Man, does
secret
this
tunnels.
sound like Denver International Airport or what?
You got to have secret tunnels. You got to have you got to have like alien tech. You got to have like debris, and then you got to have secret tunnels. Those are the three key ingredients.
Yeah. I mean,
What do you make of these secret tunnels?
So at Wright-Patterson, the tunnels are a little bit of a mystery. Obviously, Ray Szymanski says he's seen them.
Yeah.
Some people say that there's stories that there's...
Students of Wright State University use these tunnels.
Well...
To walk in between classes when it's cold out.
Wright State is down the street from Wright-Pat. So it's on land that was given to the university.
Right.
To the state of Ohio by the Air Force. But they basically started from scratch when they built Wright State.
Sure.
So there weren't any buildings. The first building is kind of just in the middle of nowhere. And then they built another building. And so because they were like off the grid in a way, they had to like build a tunnel to support the, electrical infrastructure between the two buildings.
Right.
And then gradually as the campus expanded, they got hooked onto the grid. So not everything's connected by tunnels, but now these tunnels are just open for people to walk through. And it's like an accessibility thing so that, people who would otherwise have difficulty crossing campus in the winter weather, now they don't have to. They can use the tunnels.
Yeah, I mean, people get real hung up on secret tunnels and...
Let's face it, there are a lot of legitimate reasons to have a tunnel underneath your thing. It's not always because you're keeping a secret.
I like tunnels. Anytime in grade school where I was given a assignment to come up with something fantastical, like a dream house where you had unlimited funds to create it, I always put fucking tunnels in that shit, man. I always wanted to live in a giant hamster cage.
A hamster cage, huh?
Lots of tunnels.
I was going to say like a giant molehill. You wanted to live under the earth.
Tunnels and slides.
Skyways, baby. But at Wright-Pat, I'll bet that there are tunnels. I'll wager there are tunnels because, Cold War.
Yeah.
Fallout shelters.
What we're in right now, a bunker.
Yeah, exactly. So I bet there's tunnels. Is there a large cryogenic chamber, though, that's storing preserved bodies of extraterrestrials? Some people claim they have seen this at Wright-Pat. there's a large vault and a huge like electrical superstructure dedicated to keeping these cryogenic chambers online that hold these extraterrestrial bodies.
Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. Like, again, these creatures are so advanced. Like, it's like, would cryostasis work on them? We don't know anything about their biology.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one thing a lot about extraterrestrials that gets me is that, you know, like depictions and stuff you see, they're like typically extraterrestrials are like bipedal.
They're still humanoid.
They're humanoid. Why would we assume that's true?
Right. Maybe they developed in a different
way. Do we
way.
have some indication that ours is the superior universal form?
Yeah.
That humanoid shape is the optimal shape for a creature with intelligence.
Having hollow bones makes it a lot easier to fly.
Yeah.
Maybe their gravity's different and they need incredibly dense bones to the point where they weigh almost as much as titanium.
Well, and you know,
I don't know if titanium is heavy.
We live on a carbon-rich planet.
Steel.
Maybe they live on a silicone-rich planet. Maybe these are
they have big fucking breasts.
Busty aliens.
They just look like all the aliens look like kind of aging porn stars with botched surgeries. And nipples that point in different directions.
Lots of nipples. A whole body of nipples.
Yeah. I mean, you're making a good point, Andy.
I
think extraterrestrials are sexy. No, is that like, why can't they be gaseous? Why can't they be liquid based?
Like us. Oh, sorry.
Oh no.
Oops.
Oh God, I got another Roswell here.
Oh God. Fly that Project Mogul balloon over me and see what it picks up. No, I agree with you. Yeah. We don't know. Like they could be any form, right? Like who knows?
I don't actually know, and maybe we'll do we hopefully one day will. If you want to hear it, listeners, let us know. An episode on the origin of these designs and these why they're called the Greys and why they look the way they do. You know, someone came up with that.
Yeah. And I think through like popular culture, that's been steadily refined till now. Everybody has an idea of when you say extraterrestrial, like typically people's mind goes to the same thing. This
green skin,
ovoid head, huge eyes,
big eyes.
Yep.
Long hands and little suction cup fingers, maybe.
Small bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No donger.
No
butt cheeks.
Like very, anatomically incorrect.
Why aren't they wearing, where's their clothing? Where's,
Yeah.
A whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
It's because we can only imagine things in the context of what already exists.
Right.
Like even let's take something with a wide variety of like extraterrestrial life forms, like the Star Wars franchise.
Sure. Jar Jar Binks.
Even that stuff. That's still, it's things that we can relate to.
Yeah, George Lucas is not that creative.
That's right. Yes.
He's more creative than the Disney execs, but he's less creative than some other sci-fi.
Right. They created a huge number of races and things like that, but
the Wookiees are just large dog people. They're still bipedal.
Huts are just humongous slugs.
Yeah. Jar Jar Binks is just like a weird, slightly racist lizard thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess. The Gungans. And for some reason, he's the only one that talks like that.
Yeah. They all... No, wait. The rest of them do.
They do?
Yeah.
I thought Boss... Was his name Boss Hoss or something?
Yeah, Boss Hog. He's like, Misa gonna give you...
Misa give you 5 Republican credits. Best I can do. Is Boss Hoss the name of the guy from Pawn Stars?
You're thinking of his name's Hoss. Big Hoss. That's Corey.
Yeah.
The son. Rick's the dad.
That's right.
And old man is dad.
Oh, that's right.
And then Chum Lee, who maybe is in jail.
I think got arrested. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, all like a lot of the aliens there. Yeah, a lot of just kind of fantastical things that we would think of. These alien civilizations might have elements and matter that we can't even conceptualize in our pea brains.
Yeah.
And so their form might be something that we've never seen before on this planet.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we're just influenced by wildlife or things we see, you know? So it's like,
who knows? We might not even be able to perceive them.
Yeah. That is a great point, Andy.
We may not have senses that can perceive them. I mean, one thing you have to remember is that our senses can't possibly pick up everything. So it's possible that, like, who knows, the way that light interacts with these beings, we may not even be able to, like, see them. We may not even be able to smell them, hear them.
I want to say a quote from Sergio Toporek. Now, I'm not familiar with Sergio Toporek, but I'm reading this quote off of the Missing 411 subreddit. I read this today, and I think it totally gets at what we're... It says this. Consider that you can see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum. As you read this, you are traveling at 220 kilometers per second across the galaxy. 90% of the cells in your body carry their own microbial DNA that are not, quote unquote, you. The atoms in your body are 99.9% repeating empty space, and none of them are the ones you were born with. But they all originated in the belly of a star. Human beings have 46 chromosomes, 2 less than the common potato. The existence of the rainbow depends on the conical photoreceptors in your eyes. To animals without cones, the rainbow doesn't exist. So you don't just look at a rainbow, you create it. This is pretty amazing, especially considering that all of the beautiful colors you see represent less than 1% the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
No.
Queen.
I could not agree more with that quote.
So, like, what if they exist and we can't even perceive them? What if they're here?
I feel
all
like
this stuff.
there's a good chance. There's a like a really good chance that that's true.
Rainbows don't exist to dogs.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
They see in black and white. That's the trope about dogs.
But like, I mean, think about that. We see the rainbow,
Right.
Yet that's right. Like there's so much of the electromagnetic spectrum that we don't ever see. Like
Infrared.
Ultraviolet.
It's around you at all times. You can't see it.
If there's objects that only are seen in ultraviolet light, we can't see them.
It's like when you turn on a black light and you see all the cum stains, all the fruit juice stains.
Imagine if we had ultraviolet light, what hotels would be like. It would change everything. They'd have to clean it. You couldn't let the cum stains go. You'd be able to see them. People would be like, oh my God, this room is covered in cum.
What we're trying to say, listeners, is aliens are like cum stains. Aliens are like cum stains. They're hiding in our socks. They're hiding in our sheets. They're hiding in our rags. They're hiding in the plastic bottles that Andy keeps in his fridge.
The only way we're going to be able to find them is when we go into the linen closet and we can't unfold a washcloth. That's the only way we're going to be able to find them.
The only other way we're going to be able to find them is if we all end up on the MTV show Room Raiders. And one of those hotties that we all want to score a hot date with based on how our room looks is inspecting it with a black light.
Yeah.
But I read that today and I instantly was like, holy fuck. That relates to aliens.
Serendipity.
We might not even be able to perceive these creatures.
Yeah.
So yes, it's plausible that they might exist. Highly plausible even. If they're so advanced that they can travel across the light years to get to us,
I think you're right.
I'm just not convinced that we might even be able to sense them.
It's naive, I think,
It's naive.
for us to think that we would be able to that this would happen, that they would crash, And also naive of us to think that we would have the necessary perception to understand them or to like capture them.
We have much more concrete
or
proof.
to reverse engineer their technology.
Yeah, operate on their organs and bodies, and like that's assuming so fucking much. Like that they have organs and bodies and fluids and
this is
all this other shit.
This is a real Occam's razor situation.
Oh yeah, the most simple answer is that we have proof that the government spies on people and countries spy on each other.
We have proof that the government will lie to the public to keep these secrets.
Yeah.
We know that they're developing technology that's different than what we know because it's cutting edge.
We're seeing it happen before our very eyes right now with all the Epstein shit. Like, it happens constantly. We've covered MK Ultra. We've covered the Family Jewels document. These should tell you all you need to know.
And it's like, I get it. Doesn't that all lead us to believe that, like, well, of course they're covering up extraterrestrials. I get it. It's way more simple to say they're covering up stuff they're actually doing.
Right.
Instead of like some much wider conspiracy.
Right.
It's just a simple conspiracy.
And to be honest, if you subscribe to the thought that there is this worldwide government cover-up because they want to keep us under their thumb, right? They want to. You subscribe to this sort of idea that the man or the government is trying to suppress us and suppress free knowledge. I mean, in a way, what point am I trying to make?
This started off so good.
I know it did, and now I'm realizing that maybe my point isn't correct. Allowing us to know that, like, aliens exist would, I guess, kind of give us it would give us like a unifying factor.
That's kind of what I've heard.
In a way, I guess I can see why they would suppress it, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of like extraterrestrial believers would say is that it suddenly would make the factionalism that we have on this planet seem insignificant. And so that factionalism is key to the way that the world operates.
Right.
Like world governments competing with each other. The competition is the thing that keeps things going the way that they go.
Right.
And if that all goes away, suddenly, like, the U.S. government has no power. The great British Parliament has no power. People
the Jarl of Finland,
the King of Denmark has no power.
Very good.
Every people
Very
say
good,
like,
Andy.
oh, people will stop, but to me, in a practical sense,
we want to fuck them.
That's right. That's exactly where I was going. Alien sex. No, in a practical sense, we still live here. Like
Yeah.
It's
only if they were to attack us, like Independence Day style, would we come together as like humans versus the aliens.
There would probably be this moment of where like people would go, whoa. And then I think you just get back to your regular life. Because what are you going to do? Are they going to change things fundamentally?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think Futurama has a much more practical outlook on the future.
Yeah.
Honestly, even as like a goofy comedy, that's what it's going to end up like. Like, yeah, it'll be a big deal, but then eventually time will go on. And there's a great Futurama episode. They're all great, those early seasons, but
First 4 seasons.
One in
Seasons 1 through
particular
4.
that talks about the moon landing.
Oh yeah,
the one where they like Fry is, he's just been unfrozen, so they go to the moon. He's all excited, but the moon is actually like this sort of Disneyland-esque.
It's a touristy
amusement park. So the rest of the people aren't that excited, but Fry's like, oh my God. And then they sort of go on the It's a Small World After All / Epcot kind of ride. And Fry's like, this is not how it happened. And they're like, doesn't matter. This is how it happened to us. Like,
everybody who participated in that's dead for a long time.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right. So, I think that's kind of what history will look like. It'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, a long time ago, We don't really know, but human beings used to fight each other based on their race and religion. But, you know, what's really nowadays is it's the Blorgons who, like, I don't know.
Do you remember that the South Park? Art and I watch our cartoons, by the way.
I love cartoons.
That South Park, like,
there's nothing wrong with cartoons either. Can I go on a little bit of a rant here, real quick?
Please.
I know you're about to make a point, but
no, please.
There's nothing wrong with fucking cartoons.
There's nothing wrong with fucking cartoons.
There's nothing wrong with fucking them. There's nothing wrong with hentai. There's nothing wrong with them. Cartoons are great. That's all I want to say. There's some really, like, people really hate on cartoons, but there are some really awesome cartoons that are still even being made today. And I encourage everyone who is listening to this to go check out Gravity Falls, to go check up We Bare Bears is another great one that's out right now. Regular Show was really good. These are all actually a couple years old at this point. I don't have my finger on the pulse of what's hot right now with the young crowd as far as cartoons are concerned. But anyway, continue, Andy. I wasn't allowed. Never mind.
Art was in a cartoonless relationship with his family as a child.
I just think that they always thought of them as childish things that were unintelligent and stupid, and that I shouldn't be watching them because it would rot. It's like that's what would rot your brain, which I think it's the exact opposite. Like I remember I wasn't allowed to watch a certain episode of Rocko's Modern Life because Rocco sees something shocking and his eyes bulge out of his skull and his brain pops out of his head and his head kind of unscrews.
That's very, very Rocco.
I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons. I wasn't allowed to. Ren and Stimpy was looked down upon.
Juxtaposed, though, you weren't allowed to watch cartoons. What's one dumb thing you were allowed to watch? Like one thing that had absolutely no educational value.
I still watched a ton of cartoons.
Oh. So you just disobeyed your parents?
No, it's not like they didn't want me watching cartoons. It's just like they would see certain ones. I was a latchkey kid, and I was usually left unattended.
Oh,
most of my life, which explains a lot.
This is why he doesn't need people now.
Yeah. I can't really think of any of them as a complete drivel because I loved so many of. I was born during a very strong cartoon renaissance. Dexter's Lab, Ed, Edd and Eddy, SpongeBob. Even my family loved SpongeBob. SpongeBob was loved by all. Anyway, Andy, what were you saying about South Park?
Do you remember they did that multi-parter, which is like a hallmark of now like later seasons of South Park, multi-part episodes, where Cartman is trying to get a Wii.
Yes.
And he freezes himself and travels forward in time.
The time where it's the scientists
the time
versus
child.
the otters versus the ASA versus the American Science Alliance versus or not the American.
The
but,
atheist.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like they're all
Allied Atheist Alliance.
Right.
Because it has 3 A's.
They're all atheists, but they're still fighting with each other based on who has the correct interpretation of atheism.
Right. And then
we want to crack oysters on our tummies.
Well, you know, there's that
otters.
moment where Cartman calls Mrs. Garrison from the future, and
yeah,
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah,
I almost said Richard Dawson,
totally
host
different.
of the Family Feud.
Yeah,
Richard Dawkins picks up and like breaks up with Mrs. Garrison, and it changes the future. And then, you know, they have that thing where it's like, you know, oh no, you know, Cartman's like, are you still fighting about atheism? And they're like, oh no, we've given up all isms in our time.
Right.
We're all just one people now. And then he's like, so there's no war? And they're like, no, because the stupid French Chinese think they could have a right to Hawaii. And it's like, that's what I think would happen with extraterrestrials. Like, we might get rid of a lot of we might break down a lot of the divisions in our thought and stuff
that are relevant to us now.
But like where people live and like our cultural groupings and stuff, that won't change.
Yeah.
So I still think that, you know, governments will have a place because factionalism will still exist.
Yeah.
I think we are fundamentally a factional pack type creature.
Yeah. That's just what when it comes down to it, that's like the the fight or flight syndrome. We have that.
Yeah.
It's embedded in our monkey brains.
It's beyond time. For us.
There's certain primal things in us that we just can't. We just won't fucking drop. As comedians, a weird point, but I'm gonna make it. I think that as comedians, a lot of times comedians get in trouble for making jokes, and I'm of the thought that you can make fun of almost anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you have to understand that there's consequences. So, for example, Anthony Jeselnik, a great stand-up comedian, makes a lot of very dark humor jokes. He'll joke about national tragedies. He'll joke about rape. He'll joke about lots of terrible stuff. He knows the consequences of doing that, and he doesn't care.
Right.
He does it in a tasteful way. That's an arguable point, but from a comedian's perspective, he does it tastefully. He's not just making racist statements or making whatever and just disguise it, saying it's a joke, get it? And it's like, no, there's setups and punchlines to his whole act. But there's consequences for it, right? And he understands his audience. You should not be going to his shows if you're easily offended. That's your fault. Anyway, one of the things I think that is tough to make fun of from a comedian's standpoint, I think you should just shy away from it, is making fun of someone else's family. Because I think that no matter how chill you are with comedy and jokes and stuff, I still think that there's a part of that lizard brain that is inside all of us that's just going to make you say, like, well, that's my tribe. Like, what do you, like, you can't make, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
You know
it.
what I'm getting at? Like, very rarely are you ever going to be able to get away with that and, like, have it be okay. I'd put it up there with, like, making a very, like a rape joke or a tragedy joke or something like that, I'd say it's difficult to pull off tastefully.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Just
kind of goes back to our...
one of my favorite Anthony Jeselnik jokes is?
What's that?
Do you remember the Comedy Central roast of Roseanne? Which I haven't seen for a while. Undoubtedly, it's aged very well.
I know that he worked on a ton of those roasts, but I don't recall seeing that one.
He told a joke.
I don't think they played it a lot
during that roast where he said that that Roseanne was, like, difficult to work with. That during the taping of Roseanne episodes, she had the cast and the crew walking on eggshells because she wouldn't stop eating eggs.
That's a great joke. That feels like a joke you and I could write.
Yeah, right? It speaks to me. All right, I have a question for you.
Yeah, hit me with that question.
This doesn't have to be from a comedian's perspective, just from your perspective as a human.
Oh, no.
Think about a time when you had a secret and you actively worked to conceal this secret. What are the greatest lengths you've gone to keep a secret? What's, like, the most extreme thing you've done to keep a secret?
Straight up lie to someone's face.
That sounds pretty simple, but honestly, lying to a person's face is pretty extreme.
It's hard because your body has natural tendencies that it does when it lies.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look people in the eyes. You get flushed. You stammer. You can't say things confidently. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Now, you and I come from, like, acting backgrounds as well, and it can be difficult.
Acting is different than lying.
Because
you're basically, like, doing an impersonation of a character.
And good actors are always playing a little bit of themselves in everything that they do, and that's why.
Right. They bring it back to themselves,
right,
in a way.
To help you relate to the character.
But, like, when you're lying, you're being yourself, but you're literally just saying something that's isn't true
You know
to another
what?
person and trying to get them to believe it.
Not to turn this into a therapy session, but I saw something really funny on Twitter the other day that was like, people think that strict parents teaches their children like how to be, I don't know, like to be good and stuff. But then he was like, what it actually teaches is how to be nervous how to listen for footsteps really well, how to lie really well, how to be nervous and like have social anxiety really well, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so true. As someone who grew up in somewhat of a strict household, you learn how to fucking like, and that's the best
It
example
teaches you
was
deception.
learning how to lie to my parents about grades, schoolwork, you know, things I did. Luckily for them, I was a pretty well-behaved kid I didn't get into any trouble, but the most I would do would be like, oh, I was playing video games when I wasn't supposed to. Like, oh man, what a bad kid.
Right.
But I think that nothing crazy. I didn't have any like crazy. It would just be like, oh, somebody told me a piece of gossip about someone else in our friend group, and then that friend asks me, you know, what did so-and-so say? And I have to kind of make a choice, like, am I going to tell this person? Like, is this information that they need to know? Luckily for them, I also have a bad memory and I end up forgetting things. So I'm a pretty loyal secret haver.
I got to be honest, Art. I was expecting you to come up with some like wild kind of like scheme that you conducted. But I have to be honest with you. I actually, though I didn't expect it, I like the answer a lot of lying directly to somebody. Because when you think about it, what's worse, like an elaborate scheme to hide something, like where you never actually have to lie to a person, or just like coming right out and just lying in the face.
Lies are, you gotta really like, as someone who learned to lie quite a bit coming from that strict household, they're hard to cover up, man, because they come back.
Yeah.
In ways you will never expect.
Yep.
So you better fucking make sure that it is so airtight, butthole tight.
Yeah.
Puckered, completely sphinctered shut.
Sphinctered shut.
Sphinctered shut. That lie has to be sphinctered shut.
Yeah.
Because it will come back.
Oh, it will absolutely come back.
In ways you don't fucking realize. You will be caught in a lie. Like, and I'm not even talking like big lies, like, you know, you're cheating. Like, think about all the stories you read about cheating spouses. Like, Breaking Bad. There's a great show about a lie.
Did you ever do something like where, like when you were a teenager, like you're lying to two people simultaneously through like an instant messenger app, like through AOL, and then unbeknownst to you, they're like having a conversation also, and you like are immediately caught in your lie?
Maybe that happened to me, but I can't recall it happening at all.
It'd be like, oh, if a friend asked me to do something like over the weekend, and I was like, I don't want to. And then somebody else asked me, and I was like, oh, I'll do that though. And I would like make up an excuse.
You
to
know
not
what?
do the one thing, and then I would tell the other person that I could do it, and then they would talk. They would ask each other about the thing, and they'd be like, oh, well, Andy can't go, and it's like, oh no, he said he would.
You saying that?
Like, oh, and then I have to be like,
did that happen to you?
Oh no, that was the thing I meant. That's why I wasn't available.
I had a lot of like good excuses that I could pull there. I would be like, oh, I can't hang out. But now you bringing that up, yeah, we had like we had like a large friend group, but then we also had like, you know, you splinter off a little bit, and one of the friend groups splintered off and I was a part of it. And then unbeknownst to me, other people in that group that I was with had told another group who were like, hey, are you guys hanging out tonight? And the group was like, oh no, like so-and-so's busy. Like, we're not. So unbeknownst to us, that group actually like came to the house that we were hanging at just because, like, they were just in the neighborhood walking around. They're like, oh, we'll drop in on like Joe's house, you know, and we'll see if Joe's around and he wants to hang out. Mm-hmm. But they didn't know that we were all in the basement hanging out without them. Mm-hmm. And so then we got found out, and that caused a big riff and a bit of drama. So, but I had nothing to do. I was just like, oh, this is where everyone's hanging out tonight. I didn't know.
See, this is why I think the incentive is on the government to only hide stuff that they're actually doing rather than something like extra. Because if they're lying about that, like, who's to stop an extraterrestrial spaceship from crashing in, I don't know, Iran or North Korea?
Yeah, they have
and then
no way
Iran
to
or North
control
Korea
that.
could be like, ha 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 ha, you lying pigs. Like, you know, like that would be a big blunder for us because like, we knew all along. Aha. Like, nope, you didn't. Iran got it first. Like, now that's it.
They have the Stargate.
Like, I mean, I think the political aspect of it, you know, I don't think that would be the savviest move. I think they'd want to be upfront and be like, yes, we captured extraterrestrial bodies. We have all the secrets. We aren't going to reveal anything.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a big power play.
That's like going to the G8 and just being in a bathing suit eating a raw steak.
And you got to think, if there were aliens, you know, I feel like Trump would pull that card.
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I know other political candidates.
I know Bernie's saying he's going to reveal what's at Area 51 if he gets elected.
Yeah, he's going to do it on the Joe Rogan podcast, which is like, sure,
you know what?
Why not?
You know what? I'll say it. I'll say it right here. Like, this is not a political podcast, and I don't want to get too political, but that claim, bullshit. Like, bullshit.
Yeah.
He's not going to.
No.
Oh, yeah, he's going to reveal. Oh, yeah, here's all the secret technological things they've been testing at Area 51.
Yeah.
Here you go. Anybody who's
It's like,
trying
if
to,
Jimmy Carter didn't do it, like,
right.
No presidential candidate is going to do it.
He's not going to do it. He's going to be like, oh, they don't have anything. It's like, okay, you liar. You
like
lying old dirtbag.
Whoa. Yikes.
Only because of the lie. He
Right.
lied to our faces.
Just because of the lie.
He's old no matter what.
He is old. I mean, there's no denying that. Anyway, Andy, we gotta wrap up and get to our verdicts here.
One more quick question.
Oh, okay, let's get to these questions.
Because I think that this will inform.
You want to expose more about my past as a fucking lying sack of shit?
If you were going to name
And you're gonna, what are you trying to develop here? Some kind of meme on this fucking podcast? That I'm a sociopath.
Next question is purely for generation.
I just lie to people's faces.
No. This next question is just for generation of hashtags. That's all I'm interested in at this point. If you were going to name a hilarious military operation, what would you call it? I want to know. We got Lusty. We got Moondust.
Operation Donger. digging on never touched ground Earth Rescue.
Wow, and you made it an acronym. I'm impressed.
Operation Donger.
Operation Donger. Wait, what's the purpose of Operation Donger? Digging?
Yeah, they're digging to the core of the Earth.
Center of the Earth.
Soil that's never been uncovered, and they're trying to rescue...
Gonna get them crystals. Or maybe the Earth's hollow.
Maybe.
Hmm?
What about
Listeners?
you, Andy? What's your... Oh, God. It's a good question.
I think I would call it Operation Saliva.
The Hard Rock Band?
Saving Advanced Lives
Life form.
Initiative.
Very awesome.
Very, very awesome.
That's a great question, Andy. What's a great hashtag if listeners have their own secret government operation that they want us to know about?
Yeah, tell us what you would name your secret operation. Use the hashtag my secret ops.
Hashtag my secret ops. Let us know on Twitter or via email at MrBunkerPod at Gmail and at MrBunkerPod at Twitter.com. Andy, is it time for verdicts?
I think
Is
it's
there
time
anything
to.
else?
I think it's time for us to issue a verdict. I think.
Art,
go ahead.
I will go first. So I'm going to say, I've said it before. I think the existence of extraterrestrial life, highly plausible. I might even go even higher. Like, I'm almost pretty close to case closed. I just, like with that quote I just read, we're so insignificant. There's just no fucking way we're the only things in this vast universe. Extraterrestrials could exist. Maybe we can't see them. Maybe they're here flying around in our very existence, and they just are part of a color spectrum that we don't understand or know about yet. So I think for aliens, I'm going to go highly plausible. For Wright-Pat harboring alien tech, alien bodies, I'm not going to go case closed. I'm going to go plausible smidge.
Oh,
maybe plausible molecule, which is a little bit below
little
plausible
less than smidge.
I think highly plausible this is actually government spying tech. This was government spying tech. These were pieces of government equipment that they used to spy on the Soviets, on us. Any of this stuff is just secret military technology that they don't want other countries to know about, so that in the event that those countries try and squirrel tap us in the great locker room prank that is foreign politics.
Foreign politics is basically like that movie Porky's.
Yeah. For those of you not familiar, squirrel tapping is when you try to, you try and smack someone's balls from under them. It's a fun locker room.
I've never heard that.
You didn't call it squirrel tapping?
I've never done it.
You tap someone's nutsack.
Oh, okay.
Just give them a little jolt.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like foreign politics is in this great locker room, boys' locker room in gym class that we call life. Highly plausible that this is just secret military tech. That being said, there's still UFOs. UFO stands for unidentified flying object. You're not wrong in saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it's aliens.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I don't know if I covered all the topics, but
no,
we didn't really talk about the ghosts, but that's okay. There's no ghosts.
Yeah, we're saying case closed. There's no such thing as ghosts.
Plausible molecule for ghosts.
I'm going to say case closed. There's no such thing as ghosts. I think I'm going to echo what you said, though.
Wow.
I mean, does extraterrestrial life exist? Case closed. It
wow.
absolutely exists. Does intelligent extraterrestrial life exist? I'm also going to say case closed.
Wow.
I think that it's super likely that extraterrestrials who are intelligent exist out in the universe. We just can't perceive them. We haven't seen them yet. When we talked about the Kardashev scale in a previous episode, we mentioned that like a civilization with capabilities could get to a point where we wouldn't be able to separate their workings from the workings of nature in a way. I mean, I'm not suggesting that those civilizations absolutely exist, but I'm just saying like there's a level of technology that we don't understand, and it's hard for me to say that there's plausibility that those things, that they're not out there, that we're totally alone. So I'm going to say case closed. Does Wright-Pat have a cryogenic chamber stuffed with extraterrestrial bodies, and is there alien tech around? I agree with you. Plausible smidge. I'm going to go with smidge. I'm not going to shut it down completely because I do think that it's a certainty that extraterrestrial life exists. But, the idea that we'd be able to capture alien technology and that we'd be not easily, but that we'd be able with our technical understanding to re-engineer it, it just doesn't seem plausible to me. And I always get back to this Occam's razor principle with this. What's more likely, that we're covering up this extraterrestrial conspiracy, or that we're just covering up the stuff that our government's already doing?
Right. The stuff we already have proof of.
We already have we know we have a deceitful government. We know that they're willing to cover their own tracks. I think it's just way more likely that it's just routine, like military technology. And you know what? I'm saying I understand why they do it too, for a national security purpose.
Sure.
I mean, no, it's not cool being lied to, but I get it. You know, I get it. So I'm saying plausible smidge on the alien stuff.
Wow.
We're saying case closed on the ghosts, the tunnels. Yeah, you know, I think plausible smidge. There's a bunch of tunnels down here. You know, it's probably way more likely that they drive golf carts full of stuff back and forth like they do at Denver International. Like, it has a practical purpose. It's not some, secret world government initiative.
Right.
Plausible smidge.
Plausible smidge. So lots of plausibles across the board here today in the bunker. Listeners, let us know what you think. Tweet at us or email us. Let us know your thoughts on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Use the hashtag You're Right, Patterson Air Force Base.
Then with the 3 characters you have left in your tweet, let us know what you think.
Wow. Well, that was a fun one today, Andy. We haven't done a good alien topic
good
in a while.
Good old-fashioned extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrials. Andy, that's all I got. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, we covered it. We did it.
You got anything else?
I just want to say, I think it's great that there's been some discussion about getting NASA more funding. I think that human civilization needs to start exploring space more. I think that's
space is cool.
We're gonna kill this planet, and we're gonna have to go somewhere else.
Kill that too. we got more planets to kill.
Humans have so many more planets to kill. Let's get on it.
Let's not let the extraterrestrials come to us. Let's be the extraterrestrials.
It's our chance to go to underdeveloped worlds and be the ancient astronauts.
You heard it here. Sorry, my brain turned off. You heard it here first, folks. Anyway, let's wrap it up here. This is for the titular Mr. Bunker and for my luminary. Co-host, Andy Hart. I'm Arthur Stone saying that was the whole enchilada.
Mr. Bunker, phone home.